Ed Davey. Oh God, we're here again.
I think we need to manage this and think about it and debate it with a bit more maturity and a bit more compassion.
Well, that's what Sir Keir Starmer once said to me, and he never did answer the question, can a woman have a penis?
Well, I've just answered that question.
They can.
Listen, I've made it really clear that if people, the vast majority of people will have the same gender as their biological sex, but a small number won't.
So a woman can have a penis?
Well, quite clearly.
Yeah, I remember that. 2 years ago. Seemed utterly ridiculous at the time.
Do you believe that women can have a penis?
I wonder if Ed has changed his tune.
I think the vast majority of people have the same gender.
Not people, women.
Well, there are men who want to change and women who want to change.
Right. But can women have a penis?
So what I'm saying is...
Well, can they or not?
Listen, I'm answering
Why are you
my
squirming?
question. I'm not squirming at all. I'm giving you the answer that I actually gave on LBC. And the answer I gave on LBC was this, that if you have a different view of your gender from your biological sex at birth, then the Gender Recognition Act gives you that right.
Can women have a penis? Last chance.
I want them to have
last chance to answer.
Well, I think I've answered. I think your viewers will see I've answered.
I don't think the viewers have got a clue what you think.
For God's sake! And right now, Ed and his party are currently planning to take on Reform UK. How can we trust politicians who can't or won't answer the most basic of questions, where there is actually only one answer? Ed wasn't alone, though. Cast your mind back to the nonsense that we had to endure from people who should have known better.
Is it transphobic to say only women have a cervix, David?
I don't know if it's transphobic, but it's not accurate, Nick. I mean, obviously, it's probably the case that only that trans women don't have ovaries, but a cervix, I understand, is something that you can have following various procedures and hormone treatment and all the rest of it.
Is it transphobic to say only women have a cervix?
Look, is it transphobic? Look,
A woman can have a penis.
Nick, I don't think we can conduct this debate with, you know...
Sorry, have I offended you in some way?
No, it's just... I just...
It's not funny. They're leading the country. But after 2 years, Keir Starmer eventually conceded, and we women won a victory when the Supreme Court ruled that biology trumped ideology. I thought it was over until this.
Do you believe that women can have a penis?
Ed, show me a woman that genuinely does have a penis, and by that I mean actually female, and I'll eat my wig. Until then, stop making a fool of yourself and try and focus on how your party can fix this broken country.
Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private Internet Access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cybercriminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C-18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private Internet Access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GBNews discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month, the price of a coffee. and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com/GBnews to start protecting yourself digitally today.
So joining me to discuss my nickel is former Liberal Democrat chair in England, Lucas North. Lucas, if we are to take Ed Davey seriously, and I know he does a lot of stunts, which, you know, some might say, oh, what are you doing? I mean, I get it, he's trying to send a message. He needs to be able to answer basic biology questions, surely.
I don't think that Ed was unclear, and I think that Lib Dem policy is clear as well. The Liberal Democrats believe that trans women are women, trans men are men, and that non-binary identities are valid. I think the Liberal Democrats have been unequivocal in our support of that stance. We've been clear, we've repeated it, and Lib Dem members have consistently shown that that is the view of the party, and I think that Ed's comments reflect that.
Yeah, but trans women aren't women, are they? I mean, biologically, a trans woman isn't biological male. So when you're asked a simple question, whether someone thinks they're a woman or they think they're a man or they have gender dysphoria, the reality has to trump whatever delusion or whatever feeling that person has. So when a politician is asked a straightforward question whether a woman can have a penis, a woman is a biological reality, not an identity, as it were. Surely the answer is no.
Well, I think that is where we get into the difference between someone's sex and their gender identity. And I think that we would both agree that everyone deserves respect, everyone deserves to be treated with decency. And I think that recognising that people know best who they themselves are, and recognising and taking at face value who someone says that they are, is important and is the decent way to interact with other people. I think if we want to get into can women have a penis, yes, I've met women with penises, trans women, who have not yet had surgery and have had penises, and they are women, and I treat them as women, and I respect them and their identity as women.
I respect anyone and everyone if they treat me with respect, and I'm very respectful, but I'm also a realist, OK? So if somebody has had surgery to have the cosmetic changes to appear as something else, the biological reality still does not change. So even if I believe that I'm a man has a penis, I do not have a penis. So I know biologically I am not male. And that matters when it comes to strength-based sports and things like that, where men are far stronger, irrespective of the cosmetic changes. So surely treating someone with respect doesn't mean that you then have to enter into something that, into their delusion, is what I see. And that's not an insult, but if somebody believes that they are a female when they're a man, it's just not true, is it?
Well, I would ask, why are you choosing that as the arbiter of biological sex? Because biologically speaking, medically speaking, that's actually a very complex discussion. I think probably you're deliberately simplifying that down to ultimately what's in someone's pants. But actually, biologically, there are many different measures of how you could identify the sex of any living being. And there are numerous people with various intersex conditions who that would not be a clear-cut answer. And they will identify usually as a man or a woman. They will have a binary gender identity. But if you start going into the biological route, you would actually encounter a minefield, I think.
Why?
Trying to determine which sex they are biologically.
OK.
Well, because, as I said, there are a number of measures there that you could use.
All right, so let's use the biological method. Can a trans woman have a period?
Depending on exactly who that trans woman is, quite possibly. For example, if they are an intersex person who at birth was assigned as male, but later identifies as a woman, it is quite possible, medically speaking, that they would have a period. And that's what I mean in terms of this is not a simple biological binary classification.
It is,
biological
because if someone is intersex,
a very complex discussion.
If someone is intersex, that is a medical condition. So it's just because somebody... So the norm is that a woman has a vagina, a man has a penis, OK? But if something goes wrong, something doesn't quite develop properly, then we have intersex. But that doesn't suddenly mean that there is now a different type of human. It's, for example, if someone is born with one leg, it doesn't then mean that there's a new type of human with one leg. It means means that something went wrong and this human hasn't been completed, but you still treat them with respect. So intersex is actually a medical condition. It's not a gender. It's not a biological reality, as in terms of whether you're male or female. And understandably, if they get it wrong, as in which way that person should have gone, then that person could have slightly formed genitals in a different way. But what was meant to happen didn't happen. So that doesn't change the reality that there is only male and female.
But then we seem to be in at least some form of agreement then that you could have a trans person who is intersex, and therefore, by your standard, you could have a trans woman who was born intersex who does have a period. So that's what I mean when I say that this is a complex discussion, and I think a more complex discussion than perhaps it's often presented as. It's often very simply presented as this quite simple binary, which catches people quite emotively. But actually, it's a very complex discussion, and ultimately, we're talking about people here. We're talking about human beings who have their own identities, their own lives that they're trying to get on with, and they do deserve to be treated with respect. And I would ask that we show that respect. And ultimately, within the Liberal Democrats, if someone says, I am a woman, or I am a man, or I am non-binary, then our position is clear that we will treat them as the person they tell us that they are, and we will show them that respect and that decency.
Showing someone respect doesn't mean agreeing with something that isn't real. And whereas somebody may feel that they're a man, and if the reality is that they are a woman, biologically, then they're a woman. If someone's intersex, then they're intersex, which means something hasn't developed properly and something has gone wrong. And at that point, they may say that I'm a man or a woman, I choose that. And that is understandable, but that doesn't change the biological reality that women do not have penises. And that is, I mean, you know, it is binary. I don't see how it can be anything else. But I appreciate your thoughts, and I respect you as a human being, and I respect your comments. Thank you very much. It's really good to talk to you. Stay with us, Lucas, actually, because I'm now trans activists prevented a vote on biological men taking women's jobs at the Lib Dem Party conference. I want to hear your reaction to what the chair of the Liberal Voice for Women, Zoe Hollywood, told GBNews earlier. Lucas, have a listen to this.
Instead of making this simple, like the Labour Party did, they said all women, shortlist just for women, women's quotas just for women. They've got themselves in a mess, and they've got themselves in a mess because they're unwilling to stand up to the trans activists in our party who do not want this change, who do not accept the ruling. So, you know, it's time to tackle those activists and put your foot down, quite frankly. That's what I'd say to Ed Davey. Put your foot down, let's get on with implementing the law, and as Liberals, let's allow the debate.
So what are your thoughts on what she had to say?
Well, I think those comments are interesting because as someone who was obviously in the hall for that debate, the vast majority of conference attendees ultimately voted with me. I don't think this is a case of needing to tackle a small group of trans activists, so-called. This is how the majority of Liberal Democrat members feel. Unlike in other parties, in the Lib Dems, our members shape our policy. We have one member, one vote. And conference, as our voice as members, has shown repeatedly that we will stand with trans people. The decision taken this morning wasn't myself and a few other trans activists getting together and making a decision. It was the overwhelming majority of conference attendees and Lib Dem members who voted that way and voted with me.
All right, well, listen, thank you very much for your thoughts. Lewis, really good to talk to you. That is Lucas, not Lewis. Sorry. Right, OK.